Tonight, sudden and violent turbulence.
We all hit the roof and everything fell down.
Serious injuries on board an Air Canada flight that makes an emergency landing. We've got the latest on how the passengers are doing.
We're just completely stranded here.
New Orleans is underwater and a brewing hurricane hasn't even hit yet. Plus, even more bad news for BC residents after flooding ruined some homes.
A nation that is waiting for your response.
And the premiers wrap up their annual meeting. Why they sent a letter to all the federal party leaders. This is The National. A moment of chaos and panic. That's all it took to cut short an Air Canada flight from Vancouver to Sydney, Australia. In the blink of an eye, severe turbulence gave the plane a violent shake, causing some serious injuries among the 284 people on board and a sudden detour to Hawaii. Jacqueline Hansen has passenger reaction and a word about your safety.
These travelers didn't see it coming.
It was so quick and so sudden and so unexpected.
We hit turbulence and we all hit the roof.
And the oxygen masks came down and you had a lot of panic.
And then it was over.
In an instant, the quiet flight from Vancouver to Sydney became a scene of fear and confusion. Passengers say medical professionals who happened to be on the flight helped assess injuries. Then the plane was turned around and diverted to Honolulu. Air Canada says 35 customers sustained minor injuries from what it calls unforecasted and sudden turbulence. Hawaiian officials later clarified that 37 passengers and crew were injured, 9 seriously.
We had several patients with neck and back injuries, some with lacerations to the head, some head injuries.
In cases of clear air turbulence, crews often don't have time to tell passengers to buckle up.
The seatbelt signs weren't on. We had no indication that anything was going to happen.
In 2015, an Air Canada flight crew did see the turbulence coming and warned passengers. Even then, 21 people were injured. Canada's Transportation Safety Board later found that many passengers ignored instructions to fasten up. It shared this simulation to show what happens if turbulence hits when seatbelts aren't on. This flight attendant instructor says passengers shouldn't wait for a light or an order to buckle up.
It's very important that passengers take responsibility for their safety. When you are sitting in your seat and you will have your seatbelt on, there's less of a chance to be injured because you won't become a projectile.
After today's travel chaos, passengers are relieved to be on solid ground.
Air Canada was amazing and the ground crew here was amazing, and yeah, we don't know what happened. It was a freak accident.
But some researchers say extreme turbulence is on the rise, and passengers should try to be as prepared as possible for the unpredictable. Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, Toronto.
After the initial panic came focus and order imposed by a group of medical professionals who just happened to be on board. One of them you heard from in Jacqueline's story. Linda Woodhouse is a physical therapist who helped assess the injuries. Here's her account.
The plane dropped and you just saw people flying, individuals laying no longer in their seat but on the floor. And there's a tendency to want to get up and help. You're very aware that you can't release your seatbelt because you don't know if there's more turbulence coming. So it was a matter of loosening them, and passengers were great at leaning over into the aisles and helping people to get back into their seats. Some excellent physicians and ICU nurses, paramedics who all came together. And everybody lent their expertise to figure out who were the most serious of injuries. We had an ICU nurse with a booklet who walked around the plane, identified all the individuals who were injured, moved all those passengers to the front to sit in business class. As we landed, the crews were right there, paramedics, fire, all came on the plane, and they were able to be briefed as they entered the plane as to who was injured and which ones needed to be taken care of first.
As you heard in Jacqueline's story there, severe clear air turbulence was to blame for this incident and emergency landing. So we reached out to a professor of aerospace engineering to better understand what that is.
Clear air turbulence is typically when there's no indication of like a thunderstorm or anything coming up, but it's when you have different air masses with different temperatures and they're colliding.
Pilots won't even know when clear turbulence is going to hit, but the sudden drop can be significant. Professor Smith examined the weather patterns for us and says this is likely what happened.
There were two jet streams that were colliding, and so what was happening is that you saw a vortex or a circular pattern developing.
She says climate change may help explain why bumpy planes have become more common.
As we see the temperatures rise globally, what is happening is we're seeing shifts in the jet streams, we're seeing shifts in the various climate patterns.
The good news, Professor Smith says, in the past 50 years, there have been no crashes due to turbulence. A Canadian teacher, meanwhile, who had been locked up in an Indonesian prison since 2014 is now back home.
Of sexually assaulting students there, but he always maintained his innocence. Katie Nicholson explains what happened to help him get home.
Neil Bantleman spent the better part of 5 years staring out at Indonesia from behind bars.
I just want the truth to be told.
Today, he confirmed it wasn't truth, but clemency that set him free, granted a month ago by the Indonesian government. Tracy and I are very happy to be home and reunited with our family. His brother, Guy Bantleman, says he's been home for a few weeks.
5 years of your life, and there's that readjustment to freedom, which I think he's doing quite well with, and just getting reintegrated with being able to be free and to move about.
Bantleman's roller coaster ride through the Indonesian justice system began when 3 kindergarten-aged boys leveled allegations of sexual abuse against him and a teaching assistant. A year later, he was found guilty on all charges and sentenced to 10 years.
My husband is innocent.
A Fifth Estate investigation revealed serious flaws in the evidence used to convict Bantleman. There were no witnesses to the incidents alleged to have happened in this classroom, with 4 glass walls in one of the busiest areas of the school. And one of the mothers claimed her boy had contracted herpes through the alleged abuse. Independent lab tests concluded the boy did not have the virus. Throughout the ordeal, the school community rallied behind the teacher.
Who's at school if you're all here?
1 year into his sentence, the conviction was overturned, only to be reinstated the following year, this time with an extra year tacked on. How exactly the clemency deal was struck is a story yet to be told. The Canadian government, which has been pushing for Bantleman's release for years, isn't saying anything, today citing privacy and respect for the family. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
And Bantleman and his family asked for privacy today, but say they expect to speak publicly next week.
With about 3 months till Canadians go to the polls, we've got 2 stories tonight making an impact in Ottawa. Premiers of the 13 provinces and territories wrapped up their 3-day meeting in Saskatoon. Some of the most powerful people in the country attempting to speak with one voice. David Cochran has more on the somewhat unexpected message they sent to voters and to Ottawa.
They came together for the cameras, and they say they came together on the issues.
I truly believe that today we are leaving with a stronger federation, a stronger nation.
But it's clear there are divisions.
It's true, it's one of the points on which we disagree, so we agree to disagree on this point.
This point is pipelines, an issue that pits British Columbia and Quebec against all of the provinces in between.
The level of frustration and alienation that exists in Alberta right now towards Ottawa and the Federation is, I believe, at its highest level, certainly in our country's modern history.
Most premiers, even BC's, insisted this posed no threat to national unity.
As you can see, Jason and I have been sitting beside each other the whole time, and all is well.
But it's a disagreement that festers and reveals fault lines.
I think that the longer you ignore problems that are frustrating one province over another, it creates disunity.
The Trans Mountain expansion should soon be moving, but that's it for oil pipelines to Tidewater. BC doesn't want any more, and Quebec opposes any pipeline through its borders, which has the Premier of Alberta lecturing the equalization-receiving Premier of Quebec.
If you're not willing to accept our resources, why are you willing to accept the money that comes from them?
who stood his ground.
That for legal reason and for political reason, I don't see how we can have a new pipeline on the Quebec territory without the approval of Quebecers.
So, David, there was obviously some disagreement between the premiers, but going into this, I think there was also an expectation that there'd be more criticism of the federal government, too.
Yeah, we didn't get a lot of that. The lone real exception being Doug Ford and the dust-up he had with the federal Liberals that we talked about last night. But instead of fighting, the premiers were writing. They've sent a letter to all of the federal leaders in the run-up to the election seeking policy answers on big issues like jobs and immigration and health care. So lower key than we expected, and that might be on purpose because, Rosie, the federal Liberals, they think this contrast between Justin Trudeau and the Conservative premiers helps them in the election. It helps them in the polls. So instead of this being a summer camp for the resistance, it was really just a regular summer meeting of the premiers.
Okay, David Cochrane in Saskatoon again tonight. Thanks, David.
You're welcome.
Now to a comment from John McCallum that puts the Liberals on the defensive again. You might remember McCallum used to be the Trudeau-appointed ambassador to China. That ended in January after he aired his opinions on the sensitive case of Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou. Now, McCallum's delivered another opinion denounced by the government as, quote, highly inappropriate, by the opposition, though, as inviting foreign election interference. Evan Dyer has more on McCallum's words and the fallout.
This time, in an interview with Hong Kong's South China Morning Post, John McCallum said he'd advised contacts in the Chinese government how to resolve their dispute with Canada, and the advice was highly partisan. Anything that's more negative against Canada will help the Conservatives, who are much less friendly to China than the Liberals, he told the newspaper. It would be nice if things get better between now and the election. On a visit to London, Chrystia Freeland was again forced to disown his remarks.
First of all, let me be extremely clear that Mr. McCallum does not speak in the name of the Government of Canada.
The opposition says the comments invite a foreign dictatorship to involve itself in a Canadian election, something the government has said it's determined to prevent.
To see a high-ranking Liberal former ambassador basically inviting foreign interference into the Canadian election and also sending the message that a Liberal government would be better for China than it would be for Canadians was absolutely outrageous. And the fact that Justin Trudeau has remained so silent over the last few days is very telling.
I think that it is inappropriate for any Canadian to be advising any foreign government on ways it ought or ought not to behave to secure any particular election outcome in Canada.
Since last month, McCallum's been working for the law firm Macmillan in Hong Kong, advising Canadian businesses that want to work in China. His message that Canadian companies should keep coming to China and come often dovetails neatly with the financial interests of his new employer. And his comments have sometimes seemed to suggest that Canada should be more conciliatory toward Beijing. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Ottawa.
Spring floods across Canada continue to cause heartache. In a moment, we'll look at how things could get even worse after the water recedes. But first, let's look south of the border at the impending arrival of a slow churning and threatening storm. Tropical Storm Barry is currently about 150 kilometers off Louisiana. It could make landfall Friday or Saturday as a hurricane, and with it, storm surges and torrential rain to an area already struggling with flooding. As Kim Brunhuber tells us, with half of New Orleans lying below sea level, there's good reason to worry.
On a flooded New Orleans street, a rare lighthearted moment. But with a tropical storm barreling down, there may soon be little to laugh about. The Mississippi River is already twice as high as it normally is at this time of the year. The coming surge could raise it to levels not seen in New Orleans in 70 years. Already, residents trudge through knee-deep water after days of rain inundated the city.
We're just completely stranded here.
In Plaquemines Parish outside New Orleans, thousands have been ordered to evacuate.
Oh, have mercy. Tornado.
The severe weather has already damaged homes.
Soaking wet. I'm missing the beginning of my day. Trying to get across the street to the Marriott. I can't even get across the street to the Marriott.
But wind isn't the real danger.
Water is the killer 75% of the time when it comes
to hurricanes and tropical storms. It's not the wind.
Meteorologists are predicting that the Mississippi River could rise up to the height of the New Orleans levees, perhaps the biggest test of the city's flood defenses since Katrina.
We cannot pump our way out of the water levels and the waterfalls that are expected to hit the city of New Orleans.
And authorities say don't count on anyone coming to the rescue.
If the worst case scenario does happen, we'll never have enough assets.
Experts advise don't get hung up on whether Barry ends up being a tropical storm or a hurricane. Don't worry about the category. The bottom line, it's going to get wet and it's going to be bad. Kim Brunhuber, CBC News, Los Angeles.
People living in Grand Forks, British Columbia, about a 6-hour drive east of Vancouver, know all too well how bad things can get after the waters recede. A year after a record-setting flood, some residents still don't know if they'll be able to rebuild. As Tanya Fletcher explains, it's all about the value of those ruined homes.
So the water came up to here at the highest point.
Shannon Watson walks through what used to be her home. It's been sitting empty, unlivable for more than a year now. Black spots of mold line the walls, an ugly reminder of everything she's lost.
It was my life, right? The smell was so bad, I had a headache instantly.
She's one of dozens of flood victims trying to move on after last year's disaster. The Kettle River spilled into this neighborhood of Grand Forks. Now, about 100 of these homes have to go as part of the city's plans to make the area a floodplain. The city received about a $50 million package, including funding from the federal and provincial governments. It's for flood mitigation and home buyouts, but it's under the condition that the homes are assessed at what they're worth after the floods, which in many cases isn't very much. In Watson's case, her property was valued at $150,000 before the flood hit.
Well, they're only offering me $40,000. That's a $110,000 loss. I don't have another 25 years to do it all over again.
You know, we have to look at our long-term financial security.
The city says the priority is to save Grand Forks from future flooding. The mayor adds they're trying to find other ways to help residents, but he's making no promises.
It is a disaster, and it's not our responsibility to make people whole.
Experts call this situation unprecedented in BC and possibly Canada.
I've never heard of an assessed value being taken after a hazard event.
This disaster recovery expert says climate change is triggering more floods and fires. So while this may be the first such buyout, it likely won't be the last.
We need to start being very clear with communities. Are we going to pay for you if you get flooded, or can we do something now to help you move out of that flood zone, but do it in a way that is fair and equitable?
But that may feel too late for people in a neighborhood that's about to disappear. Tanya Fletcher, CBC News, Grand Forks, BC.
For some perspective on the offer to Grand Forks homeowners, consider this. Recent flood victims in Alberta and Manitoba could opt for government buyouts based on the pre-flood value of their homes. And some provinces have capped their offers. In New Brunswick this year, the maximum $160,000, and Quebec offered some residents in flood-prone areas up to $200,000 to abandon their homes. Severe weather in a number of provinces, one of the developing stories we're tracking tonight. These are pictures from Montreal as a line of storms pass through. Severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect for parts of Quebec. Environment Canada warning of strong wind gusts, heavy rain and hail. Hydro-Quebec says more than 100,000 customers are without power right now. There are thunderstorm warnings for Saskatchewan and Manitoba as well, and Winnipeg under a tornado watch. A geriatric hospital in Toronto has parted ways with about 150 workers for allegedly defrauding their benefits plan. Baycrest Health Sciences says it's lost up to $5 million over several years, and it hasn't yet looked at how much it will cost to hire new staff. One person might have scammed as much as $100,000 in bogus claims.
Do you have any comments on the allegations?
No comment from the Headley frontman Jacob Hogard as he arrived in court in Toronto. It was the beginning of a 2-day hearing to decide whether his sexual assault case will go to trial. Hogard has pleaded not guilty to 3 charges relating to 2 incidents in Toronto, one of those involving a girl under the age of 16. He asked the court that the case go before a jury.
After suffering for years and trying over and over again to get a medically assisted death in Quebec, Jacques Campeau ultimately took his own life. Now his two daughters are fighting to change the laws that they say pushed him there. Sarah Levitt has their story.
So this was the chair. Signs of Jacques Campeau's deteriorating health are all over his home. Diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 16 years ago, the 55-year-old was suffering.
For our dad, there was no quality of life. My mom had to cut his food so small.
His daughters say Campeau became withdrawn and despondent.
He would call us and I'm on the floor for like 2 hours now. Can you come back home? I was waiting for your break.
He was unable to celebrate Catherine's graduation or the birth of his granddaughter. Campeau felt the only answer was medically assisted death.
First, you don't want to be like self-centered and say, I don't want you to die because we love you. But at a certain point, you need to understand that it's his life.
He applied 3 times over 3 years. Each time he was rejected, deemed not to be near end of life. So he took his own.
The 3rd time that he got refused, we understand now that it was for him a signal that if he wanted to end his life with
dignity,
it was his only option.
Campeau's daughters now hope his story can lead to change. They want people to sign a petition which is before Quebec's National Assembly. They're urging the government to expand the criteria for access to medical aid in dying, to consider those with chronic diseases who aren't necessarily at the end of their natural lives.
We want to fight for him because he hadn't the strength anymore to fight for this.
Campeau's case parallels that of 2 Montrealers with degenerative diseases. They're challenging Quebec and Canada's medical aid in dying laws in court. A decision has not yet been reached.
Unfortunately, there will be other Jacques Campeaus. There have been others before. There will be others again, people who don't see any other option to end their intolerable suffering.
Campeau's memory lives on in the photos that adorn his walls. Happier times before his disease made life unbearable. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Laval.
Still ahead on the national one day that changed their lives forever. The effect of a deadly fire on board a Canadian submarine 15 years later.
And stay with me here. Fecal transplants are super popular, but can they actually do all the things people say they can?
And how long have you left library books overdue? How about 40 years?
Well, I would like to think that they enjoyed them so much that they decided to hang on to them.
The full story's ahead in our moment.
Hundreds of small groups, families, friends, neighbors, all gathered to watch the eclipse today using a variety of viewing devices, special glasses, welder's lenses, cameras, and telescopes. Groups of amateur astronomers, many of them from the United States, were greatly relieved when they awoke this morning to find that the weather forecast had changed. Everyone had over an hour to watch the moon slowly move between the sun and the earth. Many schools, heeding the warnings of eye doctors, kept students in their classrooms to watch the show on television.
Who would rather have been outside?
Many parents allowed their children to stay home so they could see the eclipse outside. For some, it was lonely. For others, a family affair.
Is it covered up yet?
No,
okay,
no.
As the moon blocked more of the sun, people began to look forward to totality, when the moon completely blocks the sun. Winnipeg became quite dark even before totality. The streetlights came on and motorists turned on their headlights.
And you see the way the moon is breaking up. There's a mountain on the moon which has taken a sliver of the sunlight off, and now it's disappearing. That is, in effect, one of Bailey's beads.
Despite the warnings of experts, people who had no eye protection couldn't resist taking a peek now and then. And then totality. The people could look safely without eye protection.
Oh, isn't that a magnificent corona? And the corona is, I think, as I said before, very globular in appearance, but streamers coming out in all directions. I am absolutely enthralled. There's a beautiful, beautiful red prominence down about 7 o'clock. There's another one up about 10 o'clock. Magnificent.
Oh, super. Look at the hat. God. Completely died.
What do you think of that, ma'am?
It's beautiful. It is beautiful. Really beautiful. Exciting.
What do you think of the site, ma'am?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's really exciting.
What do you think, ma'am?
It's just incredible. It's incredible.
And after totality, the diamond ring effect. Though many people stayed indoors because of the warnings of eye doctors, those who went outside seemed to agree it was the show of a lifetime.
Imagine being trapped on the open sea in a submarine that's lost power. It's flooded with ocean water, and there's a fire spewing thick black smoke. That happened nearly 15 years ago to 57 sailors on HMCS Chicoutimi, a terrifying scene the government calls the darkest hours in the history of Canadian submarine service. During the rescue, one officer died, and today we learned more about the health impact on survivors. The numbers are very disturbing, but they are also a decade out of date. And as Kayla Hounsell tells us, the Navy admits it should have done better.
Toute la belle vie ici.
Now living in Quebec, Derek Spears brought his partner to Halifax to help her understand his pain.
That day changed me and made me who I am today.
Spears was a cook on board HMCS Chicoutimi when fire broke out.
Here's the date we had the fire.
He now lives with a fractured back as a result of a seizure induced by PTSD.
No electricity, the soot was black, the flashlights wouldn't shine through the smoke. We couldn't see anything. I managed to get my mask on. I just said, oh great, I'm gonna die like this.
Today, the Navy's top brass revealed 60% of Chicoutimi's crew was diagnosed with PTSD within 5 years of the fire. Another 15% was diagnosed with depression, and half of them were deemed medically unfit to continue sailing.
I think it's a false number. I think about 100% of the crew has PTSD.
The Navy studied the health of the submariners for 5 years before the fire and 5 years after. The prevalent physical illness was asthma.
The soot, we ingested it, we had it on our skin, we breathed it in.
The Navy says there was no cancer within the study's time frame, but the widow of one Chicoutimi sailor confirms he died 3 years ago of lung cancer. Derek Spears was diagnosed with skin cancer. Both say they don't know whether the fire was to blame.
Cancer, a lot of different causes for it. It's multifactorial. We don't always know in the medical community what risk factors are at play.
The study's results are a decade out of date. The Navy's commander admits there is no good reason for the delay.
I have offered and will continue to offer my unreserved apology to the ex-crew and to their families.
He is pledging to conduct further studies into the sailors' health.
Damn.
For now, Derek Spears is taking things day by day and focusing on the good ones. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, Halifax.
Still ahead, we take you to Yukon and a community on the front lines of climate change.
Plus, you know that saying, you are what you eat, or are you?
My interpretation of this sort of hype to data ratio right now is that we're somewhere near peak hype.
Okay, really? We're going to talk about this. Fecal transplants are surprisingly popular, but they may not be all they're cracked up to be.
Toronto, in fact, more than any other center in Canada, can truly be called Cocaine City.
This is the major battlefield in the war of wits between the cocaine smuggler and the authorities. Toronto International Airport Customs. Last year, more cocaine was seized here than anywhere else in the country, over 400 pounds. Completely in. These are the trophies of the battle. False bottom suitcases, body vests, boots, scuba tanks. All ingenious hiding places that weren't ingenious enough to fool officials. Brian Bavis is a corporal with a drug squad at the airport.
I would estimate that if we're getting 2 to 3%, we'd be doing well.
RCMP Superintendent Donald Heaton.
Well, I think we're seeing an increase in the amount of cocaine coming into Toronto. It may well be because we have a lot of flights direct from South America here. Toronto itself, I think, is a fair user population. I would think last year probably Ontario and no doubt Toronto saw half of the cocaine in Canada used here.
Small quantities of cocaine that are put into condoms and then swallowed is the most difficult smuggling method to detect. But it is also the most dangerous. If just one condom breaks while it is in your system, it's certain death within an hour. But the profit for some is apparently worth the risk. Consider this. In the mountains, enough coca leaves to make a kilo of cocaine sell for $250. The refined paste sells for $5,000. By the time the paste is made into a 100% pure powder, that same kilo sells for $20,000. Just by making the trip to Toronto, the kilo doubles in value. It is now worth $40,000. In Toronto, wholesalers add other substances like milk sugar or Novocaine. It's called cutting, and it stretches the amount of the drug the wholesaler can sell. Our kilo is now only 50% pure, but it has doubled in price again. It's now worth $80,000.
Those people dealing in cocaine, for the most part, could be called entrepreneurs. They can go down to South America and bring back in one shipment enough to make a $30,000 to $40,000 profit on one shipment.
Cocaine is to Toronto what heroin is to Vancouver. Toronto is the cocaine capital of Canada. 1 gram, a few snorts, costs $130 to $180. In return, the user gets the classic effects of a stimulant: euphoria, cheerfulness, self-confidence, increased mental activity, more energy, a faster heartbeat, and more awareness. The effects of one sniff last 20 to 30 minutes. The high is good, so good that once you're down, you want to get right back up. For some, cocaine is in. Classy. Nicknamed the champagne of drugs, cocaine is often found where the beautiful people are. If you have good connections, you'll spend more money for the drug, but the cocaine will be purer. This Toronto musician has used cocaine.
You don't have people on Yonge Street walking up going, want to buy a gram of coke? I mean, they'll offer you acid or pot or something, but I think that also has to do with the price.
The police say it's just getting the tip of the iceberg, the snow on the top of the mountain, so to speak. That's because it is used privately, mostly by people without a criminal record. In other words, people the police wouldn't suspect.
If cocaine was more accessible than it is now, would it become our worst drug problem?
If it were legal the way alcohol is and were similar in price, I can well see that it could easily become the major drug problem.
An update to a story we brought you last night. A young girl found unconscious in a backyard pool in Oakville, Ontario. Her condition has improved from critical to stable. Her 79-year-old grandmother was declared dead at the scene. The coroner will determine whether she suffered a medical problem. Calgary Stampede officials have confirmed a second chuck wagon horse has died at this year's event. The horse suffered a broken leg during one of last night's races and was put down after being evaluated by a veterinarian. Earlier this week, the other horse collapsed and died after suffering a serious internal medical condition. Scientists are looking at the power of poop to treat disease, how the bacteria in our bodies affect our health, and how it might be improved. The pictures of fecal transplants aren't pretty, but there's already one area which gives some hope. Christine Burak has that story.
We know transplanting fecal matter from a healthy person can save the life of a patient suffering from a C. difficile bacterial infection by offering them good gut bacteria. Scientists are now trying to figure out if it can treat hundreds of other conditions, mental and physical.
Then I get the stool specimen, and this
Brace yourself. It gets into patients via pills, an enema, or in this case, a colonoscopy.
And this is the colonoscope.
A trial here at Toronto General is transplanting fecal matter from healthy, lean donors into obese recipients to see if it improves their weight and metabolism.
We look at the effect on insulin, blood sugar, as well as the changes in the intestinal microbiome.
The microbiome is a colony of creatures living on or inside your body. Skin, gut, mouth, each area is teeming with trillions of bacteria, viruses, and other microorganisms.
So we either have a healthy microbiome or we don't have a healthy microbiome, and that really relates to these organisms and how they interact with each other, the byproducts of what they release.
Studies are revealing there are differences between the gut bacteria of healthy people and those with Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, autism, depression, and a variety of intestinal disorders. But the question is, did the gut bacteria cause the disease, or did the disease trigger changes in the gut microbiome? At this point, researchers aren't even sure what exactly is benefiting patients with C. difficile.
What is actually most important? Is it actually the bacteria, or is it the byproducts of the bacteria? What's actually helping the patient? We don't really know.
Slide it in.
And yet, people are trying to capitalize on fecal transplants.
My interpretation of this sort of hype to data ratio right now is that we're somewhere near peak hype.
Experts warn while fecal transfers may sound natural and safe, they're not. In the U.S., a study participant recently died, prompting the Food and Drug Administration to issue a warning and halt some clinical trials after donor stool wasn't properly screened for disease.
Fecal transplant, if it does nothing, if it has no positive benefits on health, it's still unpleasant and inconvenient, but it can be harmful and even deadly. And I think that that's something that everybody needs to know.
Everyone agrees understanding the microbiome holds great promise for new treatments. But there's still a lot that needs to be flushed out. Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
I just don't think I was prepared for all of that. Anyway, next on The National, a first-hand look at the effects of global warming.
So do you need any convincing that climate change is real?
Not for us in the Yukon.
We go in depth up north next.
Areas. While the location's great, their home doesn't quite have all the comforts of their neighbors. Ottawa's Corey O'Kelly has the story.
Welcome to the coldest street in the nation's capital, the Ottawa River. People live here. So what's going on? Why are Bernie Benak and his wife Shirley Kent ice-locked in the middle of the Ottawa River?
Well, I'm still trying to figure it out, but it's a very nice place to be. It's like country in center town.
Well, this is a wacky story with some sad history. Actually, Bernie and Shirley's place isn't an ordinary house. It's a boathouse and marina. Last winter, their old boathouse was set on fire by vandals. Since then, they've rebuilt the boathouse, and this past fall, they towed it back up the river to a new spot. Welcome to 24.5 Sussex Drive. No electricity, running water, or mail, but Bernie and Shirley are smack off the middle of ritzy Rockcliffe. Not bad, eh?
Why, they even have some pretty swell neighbors out here.
Yeah, their next-door neighbor is none other than the Right Honourable Prime Minister of Canada, Jean Chrétien. That's his place up there.
He came down this summer, though. He's a very nice man. And he said he enjoyed it. He'd lived in Rockcliffe for many years and wanted to come and see the place. And he gave us a nice compliment, so we hope he comes back. He's more than welcome to come back.
I think he should invite you over for dinner.
I think so, with his electricity.
Bernie and Shirley are bucking the cold because their insurance company won't cover the house unless they live in it year-round. So to keep warm, they hauled in 20 cords of wood. And they need all of it to keep their voracious pet stove happy. It's fired up 24 hours a day.
Not a piece.
A gas generator provides emergency power for the TV and for reading. And they cook camper style on a small propane stove.
Sure do miss my oven. Okay, it's done. Brekkie burn!
And every morning, Shirley heads out to the front yard and gathers up a few chunks of river to keep the icebox topped up. Boy, talk about your modern conveniences. But there's one thing she doesn't have to do.
Well, with no electricity, I don't have to vacuum. So I sweep. I sweep and I sweep.
Bernie, well, he makes about 10 trips a day on the snowmobile to pick up supplies. Today's purchase, a hot water tank.
What's the first thing you're going to do?
Take a shower. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be great.
Now, you might think this is all hardship out here, but actually, this is not such a bad place to live.
Just string 30 or so batteries together. You've got enough power for your pinball machine?
Take that.
Seems the only thing these folks don't have under control is the shifting ice.
It would be a loud crack, a loud boom sound, like a faraway dynamite sound, and it shakes the lampshades and the antenna on the top of the TV. It moves the plants. It wakes you up. It's such a big bang.
But at least the neighbors are quiet.
I wonder if Mr. Kretchen is home.
In Ottawa, I'm Corey O'Kelly.
According to a recent government report, Canada is warming faster than the rest of the world. The annual average temperature over land here has increased 1.7 degrees Celsius since 1948. The global average was up about 0.8 degrees over that same period. Some areas in this country are really feeling the impact. And tonight we want to revisit a story by Susan Ormiston, who followed researchers deep into Yukon's St. Elias ice fields. She saw firsthand why what's happening there could be a warning for the rest of the planet.
You can barely see the Alaska Highway as the silt whips up from a dry riverbed. The Slims River used to be fed by a Yukon glacier. Not anymore. This is one of Canada's great northern routes, but it's changing fast. We came up here to the St. Elias Mountains to find out what this big ice can tell us about climate change. The Kaskawulsh Glacier, 70 kilometers long, 5 kilometers wide.
I find the landscape inspiring. I love being out on the glacier and seeing the ice.
Gwen Flowers is a glaciologist from Simon Fraser University. She and her team are mapping the Kaskawulsh.
What we're doing is we're using this ice-penetrating radar system to measure the depth of the ice. So the transmitter here is sending little radio pulses through the ice. They are reflected off the bedrock underneath, and they come back to our receiver box where they're recorded.
The team pulls along the radar, traversing carefully to avoid crevices. The ice is over 800 meters deep in places, the largest ice field in the world outside of Antarctica and Greenland, and it's melting.
What have you noticed about the melt or the thinning on this Kaskawulsh glacier? The thinning's really dramatic here. Over the range, we estimate that we are losing about 1/2 meter of ice per year. Glaciers are fantastic barometers of climate change. They average out the signals over time, so they tell us what's happening on a long time scale. So sometimes we think, oh, it's so cold this winter, how could the planet be warming? But the glaciers are telling us that yes, over time, we have a warming planet.
The sheer size of these glaciers makes it hard to appreciate incremental change, but it's there. The melt is faster than before, and the snow cover can't replenish what's lost each year.
So even if we stopped what we're doing right now, these glaciers would continue to retreat, but the choices we make now are really important for what happens after that on longer timescales, and they're incredibly important for what happens to big ice masses other places in the world, particularly the Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets, that together have about 65 meters of equivalent sea level stored in their reservoirs.
Gwen Flowers is one of the foremost experts on glaciers in southwest Yukon, doing fieldwork here almost every summer for the last 13 years, including maintaining a weather station, part of her climate calculation. On the ground from a tiny hut, she processes the data with Jeff Crompton, a PhD student, and Laurent Mingo, an engineer.
So to paint a picture, in Canada we have about 35% of the world's glaciers and ice caps. So those are the smaller ice masses outside of Greenland and Antarctica. So we as Canadians are stewards of about 1/3 of the world's mountain glaciers and ice caps. And this is our responsibility.
Every few days, weather permitting, Gwen's team packs in their equipment, then heads out to some unique field labs on the glaciers.
And how old are these glaciers, Gwen? Well, we would have had ice cover here through the last ice age, so this area has been occupied by ice for a very long time. In the smaller glaciers, though, the ice turns over a period of decades or hundreds of years, so the actual ice that you might sample would be a couple of hundreds to a couple of thousand years old.
We're looking to land on the ridge of a glacial phenomenon with the clear markers of a warming planet.
So what are we looking at here? What we're seeing are the remains of an ice-dammed lake. So if you would have been here 6 weeks ago, you would have seen this whole basin filled with water.
6 weeks only?
Yeah. That water is impounded by the ice dam, and that dam releases suddenly and allows the water to escape.
Where does it go?
So this water drains through that tunnel you can see there, 50 kilometers under the Kaskawalsh Glacier, all the way to the glacier terminus.
Only icebergs are left, stranded. The whole process will repeat itself next year, and over time the lake gets lower.
So we can see these lines that mark the previous high water level, and what we can really see is that there are lines there way above where the ice is today.
How convinced are you that that's human doing?
A significant component of it is our responsibility, and it turns out that in the last 2 decades, we as humans are responsible for about 70% of the mass loss from small glaciers and ice caps.
Hundreds of years ago, there was a glacier coming right down this valley. It's gone. But another one at the top here and around the bend called Glacier 1 is now dying too, at a rate faster than in the past. In these mountains, there's more glacial ice being lost than from any other alpine area in Canada. Here's one stark example. This is the Kaskawalsh Glacier back in 1900. Today, its terminus or end is in retreat, so much that the glacial water which used to feed the Slims River has taken another route to a different river, the Kaskawalsh, leaving the Slims River basin drier and the lake it feeds, Kluane, thirsty. This area is part of Kluane First Nation, and Bob Dixon is the chief.
So what do they call this now? It's not a river.
No, it's more, we haven't figured that one out yet, but it's more of just a creek, right? It's just being fed by some of the local creeks here.
Yeah.
So it's
Slim's
nothing
Desert.
like it used to be.
Yeah.
When the sand's blowing, it's hard to see the crossing this little stretch of highway here. You have to slow right down to almost a crawl to get across here because of the sand that's blowing up from here.
So do you need any convincing that climate change is real?
Not for us in the Yukon.
For generations, Kluane Lake was filled by that glacial water. But at small communities, Burwash and Destruction Bay, the lake has pulled away from the shore. Boats can't access some parts of it, and spawning areas for salmon and trout have shrunk. Kluane First Nation still fish and hunt, and every year at a culture camp, they teach members traditional ways like smoking moose for the winter. The trout and whitefish populating Kluane Lake have been bountiful, but the lake's future is now a question.
Our lake right now is 8 to 10 feet lower than what normally would be at this time of the year.
Does it worry you?
Well, we're going to have to learn to live with this. We can't change it. Hunting areas, fishing areas, all are changing. So we have to learn all that all over again.
This fragile lake borders Kluane National Park and Reserve. It draws some 30,000 tourists and adventurers a year, and Parks Canada is sounding an alarm. We caught up with Superintendent Diane Wilson.
I mean, a 20% difference in area coverage of the glaciers in Kluane National Park and Reserve and the rest of the UNESCO World Heritage Site, that's unprecedented. And in such a short period of time, 60 years, we've never seen that. It is outside the scope of normal. People are so excited to come and visit this wonderful place, but they should know that it's changing.
How long have you been running this, Andy?
Since '73.
Wow, that's almost half a century there.
Don't rub it in, dear.
Andy Williams came up here to manage the Kluane Lake Research Station. He flew teams into the ice fields. Now his company flies in adventurers and tourists too.
Secure.
This is a sacred place for Andy. He can name the peaks and the glaciers, and he's watched them change.
So the retreat and meltdown in my time, the glacier is getting thinner, and that is a prelude to a full retreat, which we will be seeing not too long in the future.
We're flying into some ice fields 6 times the size of the ice cover in the Rockies. We can see Canada's highest peak, Mount Logan, through the clouds. Andy, people say glaciers recede. That's the normal state of affairs. That's what ice does. What do you say to that?
Not at the speed it's doing it at the moment. We're noticing further up too in areas like this where the melt is making it more and more difficult for us to operate at even at these altitudes.
Why should Canadians care about all this ice?
Well, I would say that water is probably our major natural resource. Certainly, when you translate the changes that are occurring here into areas like the Andes or the Himalayas, where there are millions of people relying on a steady flow from glaciers to provide irrigation and drinking water, then the results are catastrophic.
Yukon's mountains are a critical part of understanding climate. It's already warmed up 2 degrees here in the past 50 years, with at least another 3 degrees predicted by the turn of the century, unless things change. It's why Gwen Flowers is so determined to share the glacier's story.
All right, Gwen, we're headed off again. Where are we headed now? We're headed over to a small glacier here that's currently surging. We just found this in July.
We can see the craggy tops of a surging glacier. With enough mass, it can move 1 meter a day for a year or 2, and this one is.
You know, less than a few % of the world's glaciers surge, so this is a pretty special dynamic, and it really offers a great opportunity to understand glacier dynamics. Do you like it? I like it a lot. It's so great. Oh, like it's even it's just as good as July, even better. Like, did you see those sheared up tributaries? Oh yeah. I mean, it's just like, oh, it's just amazing.
They're setting up a time-lapse camera to watch this glacier over the winter. Out here in the howling wind and bitter cold, these scientists are trying to grab Canadians' attention.
So I think as Canadians, given our responsibility to be stewards of this ice, I think we could be doing better. I think Arctic science should be a priority. I think understanding our terrestrial and marine ice should be a national priority.
The mountains and their ancient ice have truths to tell about our future. Someone needs to be listening. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, in the St. Elias Mountains, Yukon.
Spectacular. Next on The National, 4 books brought back to the library after 4 decades.
Here in Hamilton, this has got to be probably the record, I would say.
The full book report in our moment.
There used to be a time when the difference between the United States and Canada was defined not so much by Medicare or gun laws, but by a much simpler measure, beer. Ours was good. Theirs we considered as fit for nothing much more than a chamber pot. Every Canadian, except perhaps members of the Women's Christian Temperance Union, knew that. Now it looks, though, as if we're about to have a beer war with Americans. Not over quality, of course, just bucks. The dispute is about an international ruling that our provinces discriminate illegally against foreign brewers. For starters, Ontario stopped the flow of American beer after Washington threatened to shut out Canadian brews with punitive duties. This beer brawl could bring us something that the disputes about fish and lumber and cars never did. A border closed both ways to a product by a barrage of tit-for-tat duties. And even if it is settled, it could just bring us a war of another kind, a battle of the brewers. American breweries are all set to invade Canada the moment our beer rules are loosened. Given their marketing savvy and megabucks, that ultimate trade barrier, our taste buds, may not be enough to save our own savory suds. After all, some of the American brands that have already trickled into Canada have become household words. What we used to dismiss as too watery and gassy is now being hailed as light and lively. If Washington gets its way, the competition is likely to be more a matter of price than taste. In such wars, the cheap usually drives out the good. If the brews we grew up with should go the way of Canadian hockey supremacy, it would, to a great extent, be our own fault. Our uptight, fear of booze, drinking laws created provincial distribution systems that were closed, cumbersome, costly, and unfair. That it should take the Americans using international law to force us to open our provincial markets to beers from other parts of Canada is a measure of our myopic parochialism. Now Ottawa is trying to get Canadian brewers a 3-year grace period to prepare for the new competition. Washington has countered with steamroller tactics to force open Canadian markets now and thus give its brewers a jump on ours. All this, of course, is being done by the Americans in the name of free and fair trade, which is quite funny, considering that their beer market, too, is encrusted with protectionism. Yet, one way or another, it now seems likely that the Americans will get to Schlitz, Canada's thirsty throats. Joe Schlesinger, CBC News, Ottawa.
The dispute began 2 years ago when American brewers launched a trade action against Canada in the United States. A panel of the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade subsequently ruled that Canadian beer practices did discriminate against American breweries. By Friday, 2 main issues remained in the dispute. One centered on when Canada would open its beer markets to the Americans. The Americans were pushing for next spring, and the Canadians wanted to wait until the spring of 1994. The Americans were also seeking to eliminate the Canadian practice of minimum pricing, where provincial liquor boards marked up the price of American beer to match Canadian prices. But in the wake of recent Canada-U.S. trade disputes over lumber and Honda Civics, the Bush administration is said to have intervened in the beer dispute at the last minute, wanting to avoid further sour feelings between the United States and its biggest trading partners. The talks to find a solution continued late into Friday night.
Returning those library books late isn't the end of the world, but you'd probably want to keep it down to, a few days if possible. If you've been a bit tardier, though, take heart. This library found books in their return bin slightly more overdue. 4 books, in fact, that should have been returned 43 years ago, dropped off anonymously, shocking, and after hours. The reaction of the librarians, Shelley and Chris, is our moment.
One of the librarians was emptying the Dropbox and saw their typical returns and 4 books that were not typical.
When I looked through the due dates and it was showing January 5th, 1976, at first I didn't quite think it could be accurate, but I checked all 4 books. They all had the same due date.
I was shocked. They're in great shape. They're all the same subject matter. They all appeared overnight. It's this wonderful little mystery. I think that someone probably had a Shakespeare essay due at school.
We're curious to know if this person continued to use the library. We're curious to know if their Shakespeare project worked out well.
Honestly, I think this might be a local record. These are pretty special books. It's a wonderful testament to how long books are around and how people value the library. So regardless of movies, books, magazines, it's really a way to connect. And even if it's, 4 decades later.
I don't think you're supposed to borrow them for 4 decades. Anyway, they calculated late fees then were 5 cents a day for adult books, and CBC News calculated this. It would have meant that they owed $3,175 in fines, which I don't think will happen.
I love those 2 librarians, and I love the fact that they are wondering what the story is behind this, and they're not all mad, the librarian stereotype of shh. But they're very chill with that. And, we chatted just a moment ago during the commercial break. You don't really understand this lateness thing, do you?
No, I like to return things on time.
My life is littered with unreturned things. Not so much library books, but there's at least one government agency that I didn't return something to, and I think I just sit on their records as being delinquent. Anyway, let's not get into that tonight. There'll be other nights for that. That is The National.
You're
for
going to get
Thursday,
emails now.
July the 11th. But I won't return them, you see. Anyway, we got to go. Good night.
Good night.